At neurofootball, one of the most common challenges I see are players that struggle with confidence. And this has a massive impact on their playing experience. Not only does it hurt your performance levels, but it also makes soccer just less fun to play. But the good news is that by the end of this course, you will have the skills and understanding to make your confidence bulletproof. Seriously, we will be able to jumpstart your confidence and have you ready for anything. So let's get started. The first thing we need to understand is what confidence really is. Everyone knows the feeling of having high or low confidence, but if you ask them to define it, almost no one could give you a clear definition. And this is important because how can you be confident if you don't even know what it is? And how can we avoid things that seem like confidence but actually are not? The biggest example of this is arrogance, something that players are constantly told to avoid being. And because we don't know the difference between confidence and arrogance, they end up avoiding both, which leads them to a state of doubt. Now, even though being arrogant is not the best state to be in, doubting yourself is definitely the worst. People may like you more when you aren't confident, but ultimately you're never gonna be your best version. Think about it. Have you ever played your best when you doubted yourself? Definitely not. And as we discussed in the onboarding videos, you owe it to yourself to be mentally on your own team. So let's define arrogance. Arrogance is the belief that you're simply better than others and you want to be seen in that way. The focus is on comparison and ego. And while arrogance can sometimes feel like confidence, ultimately, arrogance is fragile, something we will cover more soon. But here's where confidence is different. Confidence is backing yourself to execute tasks. There's no questioning your ability. You're given a task and you say to yourself, I will figure it out. So an arrogant player will say to themselves, I need to be the top scorer on a team. And a confident player will say, I back myself to score in the big moments. You see, arrogance is about building an image, while confidence is about completing a task. And think about it, is there anything wrong with betting on yourself? Imagine you went to a restaurant and ordered a pizza. Would you want the chef to come out and say, I'm not really sure if I can make this? Of course not. You would want a chef that believes they can handle the job. The same applies here. Backing yourself is not only something that will help you, but something that you owe to yourself to become your best version. So now that we've defined confidence, we need to understand how this relates to performance, because ultimately we want to use confidence to become the best soccer players that we can be. And this part is very easy to understand. When we're confident, we're more likely to reach that flow state. The connection between the mind and body is perfectly aligned, so we're fully engaged at the task at hand. The point is that when we are not confident, our negative thoughts disrupt that mind-body link, and it creates a doubt that kills our game. The problem is that players know that they need confidence to play at their best, but at the same time, they feel like they need to play well to be confident. You see, they feed into each other, and this creates a loop. Because if I play well, then I feel confident. So I play better and it makes me even more confident. And this sounds great, but all you need is one bad day to disrupt that loop. And almost instantly, it turns into a downward spiral. This is most players' kryptonites. You lose confidence, then you play weaker, which makes you lose even more confidence. We call this the confidence trap. The main takeaway from the confidence trap is that performance should not fuel confidence. Instead, confidence needs to fuel performance. Confidence has to be the first domino if you want to be consistently elite. However, it is true, for the untrained mind, it can be extremely difficult to feel confident when your form hasn't inspired it. But that is exactly what this course is for, to jumpstart that confidence and to keep it running. So now that we understand confidence needs to come before performance, we need to talk about something that trips up a lot of players. Most athletes don't realize it, but they're building their confidence on things they don't control. And when confidence is built on things that you don't control, it becomes unstable. Think about some externals that impact a player's confidence. Awards, playing time, a coach's opinion. The feeling of getting a praise from a coach is one of the best in the world. But when they criticize you, they can turn into deep self-doubt. Let's be honest, coaches are human. They have many reasons why they behave the way they do. Sometimes they're just having a bad day. But are we really gonna let someone else's bad day define our entire confidence? That would be crazy. And as we've said, our confidence is our #1 most important asset as an athlete. So we need to be really intentional with how we protect it. And remember, your confidence is yours, and you shouldn't let anyone take you out of it. The issue is that coaches are external to us, meaning we don't control them. In fact, we don't control anything external. Not the weather, not the referee, and definitely not opinions. So when our confidence depends on those things, it can feel intense, but is also extremely unstable. It's constantly swinging from a 12 to a 2. And when we get stuck at that 2, it can be a long and painful wait before our confidence returns. So wouldn't it make more sense to build our confidence in things that we do control to make it bulletproof? Think about it. Wouldn't it be amazing if every match you walked into, no matter what was going on around you, you believed in yourself 100%? There's no downside to that. And the way we build that type of confidence is by grounding it in internals, things that are completely in our control. That way we keep them stable. At Neurofootball, we ground these controllables in 3 anchors: preparation, improvement, bravery, also known as PIB. Preparation builds trust, improvement builds momentum, and bravery gives you freedom. And when those 3 anchors are strong, your confidence becomes extremely stable. Now, all we have to do is train them. So let's break them down. The first anchor is preparation. Preparation is incredibly impactful because when you prepare, you can tell yourself something very simple: I'm ready. And when you feel ready, you begin to trust yourself. And trusting yourself is really the same thing as confidence, because confidence is trusting yourself to execute the task. But if you have not completed that task lately, this can be really hard. So we need to start rebuilding that trust. That is why preparation is such a strong starting point. Preparation becomes the first domino that rebuilds trust. You see the best in the world using preparation. Professional players practice penalties over and over again in training. Why? Already have perfect technique, because every successful repetition tells the brain, I've done this before. And the more times the brain experiences success, the more that situation begins to feel normal. And when something feels normal, you stop doubting yourself. You start trusting yourself instead, and you can execute without overthinking. But not every situation can be practiced physically. That's where visualization comes in. Research shows that when you visualize an action, our brain experiences it as if it really happened, which means visualization creates these needed mental reps. So how do we use visualization effectively? It's simple. All you have to do is find a quiet place, close your eyes, and imagine the specific moments of you completing certain tasks. The more specific you are with your visualization, the more it's gonna feel real. And the more times you train your brain like this, the more powerful the transformation. And when the moment appears in a match, you're gonna feel natural trust for yourself. Before games, athletes often question themselves, did I prepare enough? And that's why we create the prep checklist that you can find below. It's a simple tool, but it's something concrete that players can use to assure themselves that they are prepared. Before matches, players simply go through the list and check off the items. Have I been training hard? Have I been putting in the work? And as they check off these items, now you have a document that literally says you are ready. So that takes all the guesswork out of the equation. And that is exactly how we rebuild trust in a controllable anchor. Another major way players can jumpstart their confidence is through improvement. This is the I in PIB. One of the most powerful things about improvement is that it protects our confidence from the externals that normally destroy it. Remember earlier when we talked about how confidence becomes unstable when it depends on results or opinions? Improvement solves that problem, because when your focus shifts from asking, did I play good today, to asking, did I improve today, confidence becomes something you can control, because now improvement becomes the only thing that matters. If I improved, even just by a little bit, I can be proud of myself, and that makes confidence stable. Consider this, every week we train, which means every week we should improve. That improvement might mean you're improving your speed, your touch, or even your mindset. But players typically fail to create those stacks because they don't have anything concrete to help them. Usually they're training without any real purpose, and they're so disorganized that they forget the gains that they've been making. That is exactly why we created the progress tracker attached below. This digital tracker lets you record your improvement every day. That way you can literally see your progress and the tools you're adding to your game. This is a game changer for your confidence, because even when you have a bad moment, you can literally see how it's such a small blip when you compare it with your recent progress. In fact, it'll look like a slip, but when you zoom out, you will see an upward staircase of all of your improvement. This will help you fixate on the positives instead of the negatives, keeping your confidence in check. But even more powerful, having a tool like this helps you start building momentum. When you realize you are even 1% better than last week, doubt becomes much harder, because you know something important. You're moving forward. That means every day you're becoming a newer, better version of yourself. And if every version is improving, then today could be my big breakthrough. And when players feel that momentum, their confidence becomes almost inevitable. They stop thinking, will I succeed? And start thinking it's only a matter of time. And sometimes that confidence looks a little delusional, but that is exactly what we want. Think about Kobe Bryant. He could miss 10 shots in a row and still believe he would hit the buzzer beater, because in his mind, he knew it's only a matter of time before I get hot. That is the power of improvement. Even when things aren't going your way, you still see success coming, because you know you're getting better. And when you know that you're improving, success feels inevitable. So now we have preparation building our trust and our improvement building momentum. And we're now in control of our confidence. But using bravery is going to give us the freedom to turbocharge it. The final anchor is bravery. And this was the biggest shift that helped me reach the top 1% in 2 completely different sports. The shift is simple. Instead of thinking, I want to show I'm a good player, think, I want to show that I'm a brave player. This is critical because many athletes fall into the trap of perfectionism. But since perfectionism isn't real, players end up trying to avoid mistakes altogether. And the fear of ruining that perfection creates a huge problem for performance. You see, our brain cannot tell the difference between real danger and danger to our ego. So when our image feels at risk, the brain activates our red zone. We overthink, our body tightens, and our game suffers. But playing brave solves this. Imagine 3 tennis opponents, a toddler, Roger Federer, and another talented beginner. Playing the toddler creates no pressure. You know you're going to win. And surprisingly, playing Federer also creates almost no pressure because you know you're going to lose. But playing another talented beginner feels very different. Now you don't know what will happen, but there's also a strong possibility that you might lose. That uncertainty creates fear, but it also creates the opportunity to be brave, because bravery is not having no fear. It's showing courage in spite of being afraid. So if you want to become braver, seek those uncertain moments. Every time you face one, you strengthen the brave part of your brain, just like training a muscle. Over time, those situations start to feel normal again. But win, lose, or draw, everyone respects an athlete who plays brave. In fact, many people say greatness is the ability to inspire. So become the fans' favorite underdog. Aim to inspire them, not with your ability, but with your bravery. For me, the best way to do this is simple. I constantly remind myself, play brave. I will literally tell myself that in the middle of a match. That small cue shifts my focus away from the fear and back towards the courage. And that brings us to the end of our final anchor. So now you have the full system. Confidence built on preparation, improvement, and bravery. Now let's turn it into a simple routine. Before your next match, go through your preparation checklist. Remind yourself that you trained the right way. You prepared, you did the work, you've seen yourself succeed hundreds of times. Then look at your improvement journal. Remember the progress that you've been making. Those improvements are stacking, and you're becoming a better player. And when the game begins, focus on one simple cue. Play brave. You should back yourself and remember your breakthrough is coming. It's just a matter of time. You now have the groundwork to jumpstart your confidence and to keep it bulletproof. But if you feel like you want to take it to the next level, to work with a specialist on your personal situation, check out the coaching tab and we can schedule a call straight away. Becoming a mental performer was my X factor to reaching the pro levels. And I know you can do the same. It just takes work, one day at a time. So remember, let's keep training our brain to unlock our games.